Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I will call our Bloomington City Council special listening session to order. Tonight is Monday, February 2nd, 2026. Thanks for everybody who's joined us here this evening for this very important listening session. Greatly appreciate it. We are very tight. We've got a lot of folks who want to speak, and we've got a tight time frame. So I'm going to just kind of lay out what we're trying to accomplish here and how we're going to do this. Excuse me. We have our list here of folks who have called in. I think we have 25 people, which I think is the max that we're going to be able to get to tonight. What I'll do is I'll call you in groups of 3. So basically it'll be the person speaking, on deck, and in the hole, if you're a baseball player. So speaking, on deck, and in the hole, and just so we can keep things moving along, we would like you to sign in, but ideally sign in after you've spoken. Just kind of step to the side and be able to sign in if you could. We are going to limit everybody to 3 minutes, and we're going to have the shot clock going. And I will keep you to the 3 minutes. And as I tell everyone, not because I'm mean, but because I want to make sure that everybody gets the same amount of time and we get through as many people as we possibly can. I mentioned it last week when we all got together, because it being a city council meeting, I would prefer, I know there's going to be some people that you agree with, certainly. There may be people that you disagree with. What I want to avoid is either the clapping or the booing. If I allow people to clap, then I've got to allow people to boo. And I think we should just maintain the respect and the decorum that I think all agree to here, and just kind of keep this moving along in a good manner. And I would greatly appreciate it if you would do that. What we will do also then is, because we are very tight, we're not going to answer questions as we go. Council, I'm going to remind you, this is a listening session. Let's treat it as a listening session tonight and do more listening than talking. If there are questions that come up, we will collect all of them. The city manager will be writing those down. And if we have time at the end, we'll try and answer some of them. More likely what we'll try and do is get them included in an FAQ or just in a way that we'll try and find a way to get them out to everybody. Does that all make sense? Mr. Walker, did I forget anything? Ms. Mandershine?
We're good, sir.
Council, everybody good? All right, why don't we get started here? So, as we are now, Kendra Amen Weinberg, you are up. Will Clark, you're on deck, and Paul Coate, you're in the hole. Kendra, good evening. Welcome.
Hello, my name's Kendra Amen Weinberg. Thank you for supporting the community during these challenging times. I'm happy to see that Bloomington is one of the 10 suburbs supporting Attorney General Keith Ellison's lawsuit against unlawful ICE activity. Even though it was denied, I'm glad the lawsuit will continue on. I'm thankful for the proposal to make part of the local affordable housing aid available as emergency rental assistance to nonprofit organizations. Thank you. I have a few comments to make. This may already be in progress, but I think it would be great if Bloomington could follow Richfield's example in designating parking lots, garages, parks, and vacant lots as ICE-free zones and not allowing ICE agents to stage in those locations. I agree with what another community member said last listening session, how it's sad we get an Amber Alert if a child is kidnapped, but not if they get taken by ICE. It's necessary that actions be taken to protect our neighbors, families, and children in the community. Taking steps to make school zones safe is important. I also want to say the resources on the bloomingtonmn.gov website are really helpful. I appreciate the banner at the top that takes you straight to resources, know your rights info, and frequently asked questions. I noticed it's up to date with food and rent, and I think it would be helpful to have mental health aid on there as well. Virtual health opportunities are important, and I was doing some research about groups that offer emotionally focused therapy with volunteers that schedule free sessions and have translator services available. These are something that would be important to put on resource assistance sheets, of course, after housing and food. And then I wanted to say that the COPE mental health crisis line is listed on the Hennepin County website. However, it takes longer to navigate to that, so it might be nice to include that on the resource list as well. Sorry, I'm going really fast here because I don't want to run out of time. So I'll slow down for this last one. Recently, I went to a presentation about different types of trauma, which was really helpful in addition to ongoing therapy. And these stressful times may not be ending anytime soon, so I believe mental health should be a priority on resource lists after housing and food. Speaking of times of collective trauma, during the pandemic, there was an eviction moratorium, and I think it's important for councils and all of us community members to keep imploring the governor to enact an eviction moratorium during this time. Thank you for all you do. It's really helpful for our community. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Kendra. I think you might have a future as an auctioneer, Kendra. Well done. So, Keaton Dane, you're in the hole, and we have Will Clark.
All right, good evening. Thank you for hosting this special session tonight. I've lived in Bloomington for 10 years. My wife and I chose Bloomington because it was a well-established city with good schools and lots to offer a growing family. It was a good choice. We love it here. Over the years, we've been focused on our kids and spent any free time supporting and volunteering for their activities. Part of the reason we were able to do that and focus on them is because Bloomington worked. The schools are good, streets are plowed, roads are maintained. Overall, the city is safe and stable. So up until recently, I've naively never paid much attention to city government. As you can probably imagine from my being here, that perception has changed. It's not working, not for my family, not for many of the attendees tonight, and certainly not for most of our vulnerable residents who can't be here. I'm just one person, but I'm part of a community hoping we can get back to working. Government overreach has come to Bloomington. We've been horrified by the images and stories of Renee and Alex, Liam, and the unknown hundreds pulled from safety, intimidated with threats of violence or incarceration. I could not pay attention anymore. I joined online groups, I've been to meetings, I'm coming to listening sessions. What I've found is an amazing community of residents working together on their own time, using their own money within their community to provide that safety and stability I took for granted just weeks ago. I've seen them coordinate donation collections and distribution, open food pantries, run errands for their neighbors, observe and record our occupiers. What I haven't seen enough of is the city backing them up with action, rather than just some words or video on a press release. While I applaud Bloomington joining our neighboring city's lawsuit, we need concrete shows of support on the street here in Bloomington. We're facing an aggressive federal department tasked with impossible quotas in support of a cognitively diminished bully. So yeah, there's risk in resisting that machine, but there's a greater risk in losing our sense of community long-term if inaction continues. It's past time Bloomington enact emergency ordinances to restrict the use of public space for staging, storage, or coordination, ban the use of masks while requiring body cameras are on, as recently passed by or suggested by the DHS leader, during immigration enforcement operations. Last week I heard we know they'll ignore these and don't want to pass things that are just performative. And that sounds like fear talking. The community feels that, and many felt betrayed by those comments last week. Because when those things are ignored, even though those things may be ignored, they still send a message from this city, just like the tactics of the federal agents send a message to our public. When the Fed's message is to intimidate, while the Fed's message is to intimidate anyone in their path, your constituents are sending a message of support to the vulnerable. They're showing their strength, resilience, and compassion. I'm asking you to show solidarity with concrete action demonstrating the city is here for the community and the Feds can't go unchecked. Mayor, last week you said pounding your fist on the desk is—
Excuse me, Will. No, I'm sorry. We're at 3 minutes. I'm sorry, Will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Coate, and then Keaton, are you here? Then how about David Valander? David, you are on deck, and then Sarah Zion is in the hole. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening. Paul Coate, resident. I first want to thank Council for the things that you have done to support public safety, for being willing to receive constituent messages so that they can be turned into further action. I want to thank the Council for joining the AG's lawsuit, for releasing emergency funds for impacted residents, and for listening tonight. I ask that you ban DHS from using city property, posting signage to that effect like Richfield did. And I also would like you to look into ordering our police to document every infraction by ICE and every potential illegal federal immigration tactic, just like Chicago did. Law enforcement's authority is not derived from a badge. It's derived from public trust. The badge is a symbol of service, not a mandate for power. That public trust has been broken at the federal level by its leadership and by the abuses of power and violent tactics of its agents. Claims that ICE is only going after the worst of the worst is false. If ICE was only going after violent criminals, we wouldn't be here. ICE is violating constitutional rights, defying court orders, engaging in racial profiling and targeting, intimidation tactics, excessive force, inhumane treatment, and lethal violence. Mayor, you said last week that if you stand up to ICE at a 2, they'll punch back at an 8, and I understand where you're coming from. But it also indicates that the feds are not going after the worst of the worst. They're being led by them, and in many cases are hiring them. Our citizens and our residents are fearful from, some of them are in hiding because of how they look or sound. Others are holding tight to their papers. We're talking about our friends, our coworkers, our neighbors, our families, immigrants, and indigenous people who are in Bloomington way longer than most of the people in this room. Now, despite the cruelty of all this, Bloomington residents have been beautiful through this crisis. Thousands of neighbors gathering donations, delivering groceries, keeping watch over our school children and our families, being observant of our surroundings, recording what we see, talking to our neighbors however we darn well want, holding vigils and protesting. And no, we are not some crazy internet conspiracy. The C word you're looking for is community. Our community was pre-organized and pre-connected long before this, expertly trained in organization. After years of preparing church potlucks, expertly trained in surveillance because we look after, as parents, grandparents, teachers, and neighbors, our children. Expertly trained in the virtues of care and compassion, especially when some would support, signal, and engage in violent cruelty. So please don't be intimidated. If someone is bullied, you stand between the bully and the victim. Don't be at a 2 for fear of an 8. Instead, join us in loving the good people of Bloomington through this at a 10. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. No. David, and then Sarah on deck, and then Andrew Liu. You'd be in the hole. Thank you. Good evening, David.
Good evening. I guess why I'm here is I'm a resident of Bloomington only 3 years, so I'm a newbie. And I was a 35-year teacher of American history and global studies. And I think I taught over 7,000 students during my 35 years. And I would be a hypocrite if I didn't show up today to say that, first of all, to the people who don't look like me, that aren't like privileged or whatever, you matter. If there's anyone listening out there who is afraid to come to this meeting, you matter. Another reason I'm here is that the abuses that all of us are seeing, I'm not a primary target of that, but as someone much wiser than me once said, silence is complicity, and we're not going to be silent. Okay, the abuses we're seeing of our constitutional rights, don't make me sit here and read them all out loud to everybody, the first, second, fourth, and fifth. We know what they are, but we're seeing it. And I never thought I'd see it like this. And I'm asking for our council to, one, make a resolution or whatever term that gets used, condemning the unconstitutional practice of the ICE agents. We need to see our city stand up and say, what's being done is wrong. Second, I was a teacher for 35 years, so I use visual aids real quick. I took kids for 31 years to Washington, D.C. I'm that crazy guy that would take 150 eighth graders there to show them democracy in action. And one of my favorite places is Ford's Theater. So I got this T-shirt there because that's where Abraham Lincoln was killed. And it's a quote for Abraham Lincoln. I am a firm believer in the people. If given the truth, they can be depended upon to meet any national crisis. The great point is to bring them the real facts and beer. We can get our own beer. I'm asking for the city council to call for a resolution calling for a fair, transparent investigation of the killing of 2 of our Minnesota citizens on not just the federal level, but on the local level by agencies such as the BCA. Third, like I'm kind of new to the city and stuff, so I went online to check. Man, you guys have an awesome, awesome chief of police. Okay. And I'd like to ask for a resolution by our city council supporting our 135 professional law officers that we have led by Booker Hodges. I want it noted the professional way that these trained officers do the job of law enforcement compared to the tactics of the barely trained ICE agents that are out there. And I know we support our police, but I would like at this time something special said to them. You know, maybe I'll just bring them some donuts. You guys could send something, you know, special. In closing, I appreciate this effort that you guys are putting on, and it's nice to be a part of a democracy like I taught for 35 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. Sarah? Sarah Zion here? All right, then Andrew Liu. Jamie Wagner, are you here? You're up next. You're on deck, and then Cody Wright is on in the hole.
Hi, good evening, council members and Mayor Boosie. Thank you for making extra time in your busy schedules to come listen to us. I also want to thank everyone that has made time to come speak. I wanted to bring up the diversity numbers here by speaking myself. So my name is Andrew, and I was born and raised here in Bloomington. My first job was at BEC TV. I also worked at the city council here. My wife and I met at Jefferson High School, and now I'm a homeowner, not living too far from where I grew up. I'm as much of a native Bloomington resident as you can get. Due to recent events from ICE and Border Patrol, I must tell you that I've felt so much fear for myself, my family, and my neighbors. However, anger is what I feel most. I have Caucasian friends telling me to just carry my passport and obey instructions from ICE agents when prompted. But why do I need to prove that I belong here? That just makes me a second-class citizen. I'm here tonight to speak up for a community that is feeling fear and pain right now when the current occupation is with these federal ICE agents. The people of Minnesota have been a shining example of what it is to be a good neighbor. Ordinary citizens are putting themselves at risk by protesting in person, working together in rapid response groups to observe ICE agents abduct and detain their neighbors, as well as simply getting groceries for those that are too afraid to leave their houses. The demonstrations against ICE have largely been peaceful as people show their opposition to the violent tactics ICE agents have been using. I do fear that the public's patience is wearing thin as the federal government is looking for people to become violent to give agents an excuse to push back even harder with impunity. I believe in the rule of law and demand that accountability be restored. While I understand the need for constraint, as you mentioned last week, Mayor, I feel that's fair, but there is a line between constraint and analysis paralysis. At what point does the council slide into inaction? I want to thank the council for participating in the federal lawsuit last week, but I do want to challenge and ask you, what else are you doing, our elected officials, doing to curb this lawlessness that is happening in our streets besides furrowing your brows and writing strongly worded statements? You cannot, in good conscience, ask the residents of Bloomington just wait for it all to blow over while our neighbors are being brutalized and taken from their homes. Tonight, I urge you to use the authority we've entrusted into you and lead by doing what is right, not what is easy. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie, and then Cody, and then Salamua.
Council members, Mr. Mayor, Chief Hodges. I feel that I must begin by repeating a portion of my remarks from the listening session last week. I am Jamie Wagner, and I am here because the social contract has been broken. If you'll forgive me and allow me to put on my professor's cap for a moment. The social contract is a piece of philosophy that was a core part of the intentions and dreams of the founders of this country. It embodies the idea that a community surrenders a portion of our rights to a government in order to guarantee the safety and essential human rights and conditions of all those who are part of our community. Our social contract with the federal government having been broken is something that all of us recognize, particularly Mr. Mayor in your remarks closing the session last week. I understand the sentiment of restraint when facing the reality of a federal government that acts to punish any dissent. I understand the desire to prevent retribution against the most vulnerable of our neighbors and our families. But what I feel that you collectively do not seem to understand is the gravity of our current situation. When Director Holman spoke to the people of Minnesota 2 days ago, he referred to our state and the Twin Cities in particular as a theater, not as a community of people, not as fellow citizens of the Americas, as a theater of war where he, Mr. Bovino, and the rest of ICE view us as the enemy. They see our home as a battlefield where they have deployed an army of men who are not trained in the nuances of immigration policy or in how to operate legally in our state while still respecting the rights, liberty, and freedoms of their fellow citizens. They have deployed agents who are offered rudimentary training on how to conduct themselves, and now they go out just like their ancestors who hunted black men, women, and children to be sold into bondage because of the color of their skin, or men who were indoctrinated with hateful rhetoric who put on brown shirts and went out to smash windows. knowing that if they could not find an enemy to engage, they can make one up when they are finished. We are not dealing with members of law enforcement who, by that social contract we trust, will be trained to safely enforce the law and protect the rights of our neighbors. We are not dealing with professional soldiers who are given extensive training on how to safely handle weapons, interact with civilians, and are instilled with honor and discipline as part of their traditions of duty and service. We are dealing with a mob empowered by an administration of bullies. And I think that many of you, including many in our state and some of you on this council, believe that your privilege, your position, your wealth, and your status as either a birthright or properly naturalized American will protect you. And I am here to tell you that is not true.
Thank you, Jamie. Cody, and then Saw, are you here? I don't see Saw. Danielle Isaacson? Oh, remote. I'm sorry. Can we make sure that Danielle and then Jody Johnson are our next two speakers, and they'll be remote. So, Cody, thank you.
Thank you. I was here last week, Cody Wright. I have to say, when I left the meeting last week, I was very proud of you specifically, Mr. Mayor. I jumped in and interrupted you a little bit at the end, and I saw some fire out of you. You got upset, and I was glad to see that because I hadn't seen it up to that point. And I am very proud of what most of the council voted for to join the lawsuit this week, even though it did not go our way. It's my understanding that there's one member of the council that did not vote to join that lawsuit. And I would just like for that person to remember that your duty is to this community, not to MAGA, not to Donald Trump, and not to ICE. If you don't want to do what's best for this community, I think maybe it's time for you to step down. I know that this is not what you all thought you would be doing when you ran for city council. And it's scary, and that's okay. But I can tell you that if you guys keep doing the things that you've been doing, this community is going to rally behind you regardless of what the Trump administration does. We don't need you to bang your fists on the table. We just need you to be there. We need the police to be there. Just be around. ICE is not going to do things and hurt people if the police are around. I don't know if you all saw what happened in St. Peter a few days ago, but there was a peaceful protester that was arrested by ICE. She was being brought up to the Whipple facility, and the chief of police of St. Peter called somebody, and those ICE agents turned around and brought her back. So they are afraid of the people who are actual law enforcement officers. They will not try to harm when they are there. I feel for all of you that this is the position you found yourself in, because I know running for city government, this wasn't the plan. But you're here, and there's not a whole lot we can do about that. So I'm just asking that you guys continue to be brave, because you showed some bravery this week. Continue to be bold, and no matter what happens, this community is going to stand behind you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Cody. Last call for either Saw or Danielle, or excuse me, for Saw. I don't see Saw. Danielle Isaacson, is she available? Yeah, remote. Danielle, if you are waiting and listening online, if you could raise your hand, we will get you live so you can speak. And same with Jody Johnson. You're our second remote person. Why don't we move on? And if they raise their hands and we can confirm it as them, we'll go to them. We have next on our list Anita Smithson. Are you here, Anita? There you are. Lois Norgard. Are you here, Lois? You're on deck. And then Paul Scott is in the hole.
Hi, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Anita Smithson, and I'm speaking today on behalf of the Human Rights Commission. Last week before your listening session, we met to vote on a letter that I'm reading to you today. The Bloomington Human Rights Commission was established in 1968, shortly after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to aid and advise the City Council in ensuring equal opportunity and the protection of human rights for all members of the Bloomington community. Recently, the HRC has heard from community members who have both observed and experienced human rights violations within the city, particularly in connection with the increased presence of federal agents. Regardless of immigration status, every person has the right to due process and protection under the law. In response, we respectfully request that the city collaborate with the HRC to take the following actions to ensure residents are informed of their rights and know how to seek help if these rights are violated. We also want to acknowledge that some of these efforts may already be underway by the City Council. 1, develop and distribute clear and accessible communications in multiple languages outlining individuals' rights, the steps to take if a human rights violation occurs, and how to report such violations. 2, ensuring this communication includes key rights that many community members may not be aware of, including the right to refuse consent to search of one's person, vehicle, or home, and the right to record police activity, provided it does not interfere with law enforcement duties or violate other laws. And 3, provide or endorse appropriate know your rights and welcoming signage for residences and businesses alike that both affirm inclusivity and clearly state our legal rights. Now more than ever, our community needs to hear consistent, visible, and reassuring communication from the city to help alleviate the fear and anxiety that many residents are currently experiencing. In addition to written communication, members of the HRC would welcome the opportunity to partner with the mayor and city council on a short community-facing video that reinforces the connection, our transparency, and trust with each other. We also request that the city publicly report aggregate human rights violation data and share that data with the Hennepin County Attorney's Office and the Minnesota Attorney General's Office to support broader accountability and documentation efforts. As members of the Human Rights Commission, it is our duty to inform and advise the City Council on matters affecting human rights. We urge you as elected leaders to use your position and privilege to ensure that all Bloomington residents feel their rights are understood, protected, and respected. This is signed by a majority of members, myself, the chair, Vice Chair Kammenson, and Commissioners El Mustafa, Gonsar, Lewis, Musignac, Perry, and Thornton. I also wanted to add a personal note that I am just lifting up every single day in prayer Manuel, a community member who I saw violently ripped from his vehicle by ICE agents just a few weeks ago. Manuel had all of his documentation in his car. He was treated horribly, and I think of him every day, and I hope that he's returned to his family, and I ask that you all think of him as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lois is up next. Paul Scott, are you here, Paul? Okay, Paul will pass. Christy Wobama. Okay, you're on deck then. And then Jamie McCarthy. No Jamie McCarthy. Hold on one second. Pardon? Oh, there you are. I didn't see you. I'm sorry. So you're in the hole then. Oh, okay. Please.
Yeah, hello. Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm Lois Snargard, a resident of East Bloomington. Our community members are standing up every day and doing what we can to try and keep our neighbors and friends safe because we know the difference between right and wrong. We are angry, upset, scared, but determined. As we take action in our communities, we are waiting to see you stand up in a truly meaningful way to end the crisis, not with token gestures, but real steps towards safety and accountability. I do thank the city for joining the lawsuit that others have mentioned. In fact, a number of my comments have already been mentioned, so I'll kind of be moving quicker. But I also really appreciate the web portal that you put together, Response to Immigration Enforcement. Sounds like there's some additional pieces that should be put there. I urge Bloomington to follow Richfield in making the ice-free zones that people have mentioned again. And on Richfield signs, it says property may only be used for city purposes. Unauthorized use, including but not limited to staging for civil immigration enforcement activities, is prohibited. Their Public Works Department has placed these signs in areas in Richfield. And I agree with the other speakers, but I also want to say we should do the freeze on evictions and pause utility bills for people who are unable to go to their jobs. The Bloomington Police must protect our residents and community members and not stand on the side of ICE. No sharing of any department's personnel information or any other databases that they might be asking for. No sharing of any building codes or anything else with ICE. We need to also send a strong statement to Congress. I know people have been asking the city council to do this as well, and perhaps there's a way that you can, but passing ordinances to urge them to stay strong on tightening the use of warrants, ending roving patrols, enforcing a code of conduct comparable to policies for state and local law enforcement, and for ICE agents to remove their masks, their guns, and wear the body cameras. ICE does not make us safe. It's the opposite. Other humane solutions to immigration can be found. We are angry that we are unprotected in the town we call home. Thank you.
Thank you. Priyanka, do we have any of our remote speakers yet? Not that we know of. Okay, thank you. We will continue on then. Krista is next, or Christy, excuse me.
That's
Christy.
okay. I'm Christy Wabama. I brought my daughter to the listening session last week, and on the drive home, she said, only old people were talking. No offense, I consider myself that too. So she got home, she wrote up a thing that she would like to share tonight.
Oh, very good. Good evening.
Mayor and City Council, I attend one of the Bloomington public schools and kids are scared. Lately, at my school, most conversations with my peers have been centered around ICE and the latest events related to them. News has passed through schools and students about ICE visiting other Bloomington schools and that a dad was taken from a Westwood student's bus stop. Rumors are also circulating about ICE having visited other schools' pickup lines after school. Many of my friends are afraid that our school is next. School is supposed to be a safe environment, but clearly it's not a safe enough environment for some students to show up for in-person learning. While all schools are now required to have online lessons, students should be able to be with their friends in an environment where they're free of harm. There used to be a designated safe zone around schools that had strict perimeters around ICE since 1993, but that was rescinded in January of 2025 by the president. I'm asking you to pass a resolution to reinstate a safe zone around schools. This would be a good first step. Finally, the last idea I would like to put forward is that if ICE has a presence in Bloomington, police would alert the school staff so they can protect students better. I'm sure you've heard schools say, school is a place where everyone belongs, but those are just words. What really matters is if people feel like they belong. Thank you for considering.
Thank you. So then Jamie and Trina Sletto. Are you here, Trina? Trina is on deck. And then Chris McCormick. Chris, are you here? How about Kay Twatty? Okay, you are in the hole. So good evening, Jamie.
Hi. All right. Sorry, I'm really nervous and also a little emotional. So I apologize. And I just want to say to my fellow citizens here speaking tonight, I'm really proud of you all and impressed. So thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I want to thank those of you who voted to join A.G. Ellison's lawsuit. I think that was a good step. A lot of what I wanted to say has already been said, so I will try to kind of move along. But the reason I'm here is because I see our children, our schools, businesses, and normal daily life impacted by unnecessary violence and intimidation tactics of this ICE surge. And regular Minnesotans, not paid protesters or outside agitators, have been asked to and have protested, organized, provided aid to families in need, and risked personal safety and peace of mind, even knowing what the risks are. I am looking for leaders, particularly elected leaders, to demonstrate the same courage to meet this perilous moment in American history, to help us find a way through this authoritarian power grab, and to commit to holding those responsible and those that help them accountable when we get through this. Leaders need courage, creativity, and boldness. And I believe that there's more that can be done on the local and in conjunction with the state and the county. And a lot of great suggestions have been made here tonight. I think there's both immediate and long term. One thing that has not been mentioned is to make sure that we are not partnering with companies that are providing data to ICE, such as Flock, Nest, Ring, and Palantir. The moral imperative and issues will not change after this current crisis ends. Please do not assume that any action you take will be meaningless or ineffectual. If the laws or ordinances are not on the books, they can never be enforced. And while I understand the instinct to be cautious or for fearing retribution, as Teddy Roosevelt said, in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. So please be courageous, be creative and bold for us. Please be the leaders we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Trina, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here to ask the council for 2 urgent actions. First, to add Bloomington to the request to the state for an eviction moratorium. Second, to increase financial resources for community-based organizations responding to a rapidly escalating humanitarian crisis in our state. This request comes from conversations with organizations and volunteers who are responding daily to housing instability, food insecurity, and emergency needs. The message has been consistent. The scale of need is outpacing available resources. Nonprofits and community organizations in Bloomington are working hard to keep families housed. They are providing rental assistance and emergency support to families at risk of eviction. The level of need they are seeing right now is significant. Currently, hundreds of families in Bloomington, and by the time rent is due in March, it will be thousands. Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Roseville have already asked the state for an eviction moratorium. They recognize that action now can prevent widespread displacement. I do want to acknowledge that the city has already taken important steps. Bloomington's HRA has announced $350,000 for housing assistance. That support matters, but it will not meet the full need, not even for a month. What we are seeing is not a short-term spike. As the occupation continues, this will be a longer-term challenge. This is also more impactful than COVID was on families and their housing stability. The Bloomington community is also stepping up in powerful ways. Over the weekend, a food and supplies drive and 9 Mile Brewing brought in hundreds of pounds of essential items. Thousands of families who are homebound for safety are receiving weekly grocery deliveries delivered entirely by volunteers. These efforts show how much this community cares about one another and about doing what is right. At the same time, nonprofits and community organizations are under real financial strain, and that began well before this new crisis. Since January 2025, changes in government policy have reduced both funding and flexibility for nonprofits, while community need has increased. Grassroots fundraising and philanthropy are critical, but they cannot carry a crisis this size on their own. This is where city and state leadership are essential. Government action provides stability that philanthropy cannot replace. Without it, families will fall through the cracks. Children are falling through the cracks, and the organizations supporting them will be pushed beyond capacity to act. The request for you tonight is simple. Include Bloomington in the request to the state for an eviction moratorium and increase financial support for the organizations doing this work on the ground. This is a moment to act with urgency and to stand with the families and community members who are stepping up every day. Thank you for your time and your commitment to our community. And because I have one last second, I just want to say to the kids who are hearing this, the kids who are living this, we are sorry. We are sorry, and we will fight for you.
Thank you, Trina. So Chris McCormack not here, right? Oh, Chris did. Oh, there.
It's an overflow.
Thanks for joining us.
When the righteous increase, the people rejoice. But when the wicked man rules, people groan. Mayor Bussey, members of the council, thank you for allowing us the privilege to share our thoughts. It is my prayer that these words will fall on fertile soil and the cities of Bloomington, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and the state of Minnesota at large will once again
Rejoice as righteousness increases. The people of Minnesota and the United States, as they watch on, have been groaning for quite some time. Riots in our streets, glaringly obvious fraud in government-sponsored programs, and now unrest as authorities aim to carry out their duties against obnoxious and oftentimes violent resistance. Regardless of where you are politically, I venture to guess I'm an outlier here, there is no question that there is groaning, which must mean a wicked man is ruling. When public servants who have been entrusted with a level of leadership use that leadership to urge on agitators or promote scandalous speech comparing what we see now to the senseless murder of 6 million Jews less than a century ago, it is no wonder that we have civil unrest and the tragic loss of life. What we need now is leadership. Leadership that promotes righteousness and goodness. Leadership that understands that the only reason they hold their current position is because God Almighty, the sovereign ruler of the universe, saw it fit to place them there. And before you allow that to tickle your ears, please understand you have a serious responsibility. For to whom much is given, much will be required. You are to use this authority to reward good behavior and punish evil. I understand that you may not have the ability to exercise your authority over Minneapolis or the state of Minnesota as a whole, but you have the ability to communicate to those that do and hold them accountable to the responsibility entrusted to them. You also have the ability to set the tone for the people here in Bloomington, and we the people are in desperate need of a leader who will prioritize righteousness, reward good behavior, and punish evil. To the people, I would like to exhort you in your responsibility to submit to authority. For when you resist authority, you oppose the ordinance of God and will receive judgment upon yourself. Rulers are not a cause of fear for good behavior, but for evil. Those that have broken the law and reside here illegally should be punished. Those that did not break the law and reside here rightfully should not be punished, but should also not provide any reason for punishment to arise by acting unruly. I implore all of us as citizens of the United States to fight for what is good, to prioritize the word of God over the ways of this world, and to live righteously, so we all may once again find the ability to rejoice. In closing, look to Christ, turn from your sins, and aim to carry out the will of God through obedience to his word. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Kay is up next. And then Michael List. Are you here, Mike? Michael List, are you here? I don't think I had seen him. Kathleen Bagby Coat. Raise your hand if I'm calling your name. Just there we go. Okay, I see you now. And then Janice Erickson Pearson. Okay, you're the next three then. Okay, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Honorable Mayor, esteemed members of council. First and foremost, I wish to express my gratitude for this platform, a space where voices of residents can be heard and valued. My name is Kay. I've had the privilege of calling Bloomington home for nearly 5 years now. I'm a small business owner. I'm a dedicated husband, and I'm also an immigrant. People before me spoke here, trying to speak for me. I feel as an immigrant, I should have a voice, and thank you for actually listening to us. It is with this perspective I speak today, hoping what I have to say, how immigration enforcement needs to be handled in our city, carries some weight and is valued. My work takes me frequently around Minneapolis and Twin Cities, where I've observed and experienced firsthand how various cities have responded to Operation Metro Surge. For instance, Minneapolis has adopted a stand down policy, instructing its police force to refrain from intervening when protesters or observers escalate or impede ICE operations. Such directives not only expose local law enforcement to undue risks, but also inadvertently escalate tensions, leading to clashes between protesters and federal agents who are completely untrained to manage larger crowds. On the other hand, I've seen Maple Grove's police department has demonstrated a more strategic approach to this. Just 5 days ago, in Maple Grove, protesters gathered outside a hotel that was suspected of harboring ICE agents. Recognizing the potential for unrest, Maple Grove officers stood between the protesters and the property. When the protests started to escalate, they deployed crowd control measures, declared an unlawful assembly, and successfully de-escalated the situation before it turned violent. The outcome was clear. Minneapolis suffered a damaged hotel with multiple people injured. On the other hand, there was no property damage reported in Maple Grove. People still got the right to exercise their protesting rights, and no one was seriously injured. This contrast, I believe, underscores an essential truth. The First Amendment guarantees the right to peacefully protest, but does not guarantee a right to riot. I have unwavering confidence in Bloomington's finest, in their professionalism and their training and their capacity to maintain order. Compared to the federal forces, our local officers are better equipped in handling larger crowds and safety with restraint. It is my firm belief that it is the responsibility of our city leaders and our law enforcement to serve as a buffer, safeguarding its peaceful protesters from federal authorities who are conducting arrests and vice versa.
Okay, excuse me. I'm sorry. Your 3 minutes are up.
Just one last statement. If there's one thing I want you guys to hear, as an immigrant resident of Bloomington, I feel the safest when our city police are actively maintaining law and order during ICE operations, rather than simply standing down. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathleen?
Hi, Kathleen Coate. Thank you. I'm reading an email that my family received from a family friend who could not be here and wishes to remain anonymous. She's one of the many community volunteers we've been hearing about. She says, "My children and I have been driving children to and from school for parents who are too terrified to leave home. One of these families was being actively abducted during a morning pickup. I had vulnerable children in my car and had to pretend like everything was fine, but my 9-year-old knew what was happening. They just didn't realize it was their friend being kidnapped. I cannot express the trauma and stress of having to explain to your child why their friend is gone and why our own government took them away. This is still being processed, and the struggles are real. I've had lawyers and state officials, including Nathan Coulter, assist me in the search for our abducted Bloomington community members, to no avail. Meanwhile, within the day, we started driving new children to school because they had the need to get there, and I now had more room in my van. Our community feels attacked at the federal level of our government and largely ignored at the state level. We continue to hope that more is done to help our immigrant community members while doing everything we can to provide them the safety they deserve." Thank you for listening to this story.
Thank you for sharing it. Janice Erickson, Wade Lunenberg, are you here, Wayne? Wade? There's Wade. Tyler Thompson is in the hole. Are you here, Tyler? Isn't that fancy?
Is that a good? Wow, that's cool. Mr. Mayor and
Good evening.
council members, thank you very much for the privilege of being able to speak with you. We've lived here for a whole year and had no idea what we were getting into when we moved to Minnesota. We love it here. We're really privileged to be here. And one of the things that impressed us the most, first of all, was how much the city of Bloomington was adhering to the various diversity, inclusiveness, and the other. I have Parkinson's, so sometimes I forget words. In any case, we were really grateful to be a part of this community, and we still are. And I am very grateful to my fellow citizens for articulating so very clearly many of the things, much of what I might have wanted to say, so I don't have to say it. I did want to make a modest proposal. Many of the homeowners that we're living near just still don't know quite what they could do. And so I had a very modest proposal that I bring, that we're putting up on our bulletin board. And I don't know if you want to put around town, but says, will you join us? A white candle, 5:30 to 6 o'clock p.m. This is a particular date, Wednesday, February 4th. It could be any date. A corner near you. Support our neighbors and care for our country. It seems it's just some small thing that we could all do. And so if it goes no further than those who hear our voice tonight, that's okay. If it goes, if you're able to receive it, that's great too. I also want to speak on behalf, very briefly, of Francisco, a member of my church, the church we belong to. He is an usher. He's lived here for 20 years, has done everything he needed to do, was fully in the process. He was boxed in and abducted on a Sunday morning right before Christmas from right outside our church. He was literally turning into the parking lot of the church when ICE came, boxed him in, and abducted him in front of his family. One of the tasks or privileges that I have is writing him a letter every week. What do I say? What do we say? Can't give too much hope, but want to offer some. He gets his mail. He's responded. That's good news. But what do we do? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments tonight.
Thanks to my husband.
Wade? And you get to work the magic desk there too, if you could.
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Great.
Good evening, Wade.
Mayor and Council, Wade Lunenburg with Unite Here Local 17, the hospitality union here in Minnesota, with 24 union hotels. We're in our convention centers. We have 1,200 people on the field at MSP International, also in our sports facilities across the Twin Cities. Tonight, I wish to speak to the safety and well-being of hotel workers in the city of Bloomington. First, we request that if you are a hotel operator, you choose not to allow Immigration and Customs Enforcement or other immigration enforcement agencies lodging at your facilities in Bloomington. This is about the safety and well-being of workers. Immigration enforcement can escalate tensions, increase confrontations, and place workers in unsafe situations that they are not trained for or paid to manage. The presence of ICE can deter people from accessing work, food, necessities, while also placing the workers in the impossible position of navigating frightened customers and the aggressive immigration enforcement. There is also a danger to the customers that are staying in the hotel. ICE has proven that they are not focused on criminals or even just immigrants that may be undocumented, but on numerous occasions have taken U.S. citizens into custody and worse. There should be a consideration by the city to create a safer place for workers and for customers. We believe that a liquor license is a privilege, and that privilege should be reserved for the businesses who keep the public safety in mind. Our union has been in contact with workers at hotels that ICE is staying at who report harassment, unsecured firearms, and abductions. Adding liquor to this mix has a terrible potential. Council members, there are guns in your hotels. We believe the city of Bloomington should strongly consider a potential around the safety of workers and the consumers in hotels when considering liquor applications and renewals in the future. I thank you for your time and your work. Thank
you, Wade. Tyler Thompson, are you here? Very good, Tyler. And then we'll have a chance, I think, to get a bit into our wait list. Is Douglas Bruce here? Doug, you scored. You're up next, Douglas. Tyler, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tyler Thompson. Me and my wife have lived in Bloomington for a little over 1 year now, and we love this city. This is my first time attending something like this, and while I'm somewhat ashamed it has taken me this long to get involved in my local community, I'm happy to be in company of most of the other speakers I've heard so far. Over the past 2 months, I've looked on in horror at Operation Metro Surge and the tactics that ICE agents have been using in our state. I have seen ICE agents repeatedly break the law and violate the Constitution in their operations. I have seen them brutalize everyone: undocumented citizens, non-citizens with legal status, documented immigrants, observers, protesters, and citizens alike. I have seen them use tear gas at our schools, and I have seen them kidnap children. I have seen them perform insane vehicle maneuvers to box people in or run them off the road. I've seen them break into homes without warrants and threaten Minnesotans who are simply recording them. I've seen them kill 2 American citizens on our streets without facing as so much as an investigation. I've seen them do all this in the name of public safety. According to ICE itself, only 7% of their arrests account for violent criminals. They claim to be going after the worst offenders, but they are grabbing absolutely everyone they can. Their stated mission may be immigration safety, but their only outcome has been chaos in our communities and violence in our streets. I know parents who are exhausted because they are continually volunteering at their kids' schools to make sure the kids can get home safely without being kidnapped by ICE agents. I have friends who are having to tell their immigrant parents, you need to keep your ID on you and your passport on you at all times. My immigrant neighbors are fearful, and our cities are collectively traumatized. This is not the America I imagined living in as a kid, where people are chased down the streets demanding, show us your papers, where the Constitution is trampled by ICE and DHS, where the federal government invades my state and demands our voter rolls if we want this invasion to end. The actions of ICE in Minnesota put us all at risk, and it is time we put an end to this madness. Bloomington must do everything it can to resist these unconstitutional ICE operations. Minnesota needs an immigration process that is sane, fair, efficient, and accountable. The ICE enforcement we have seen this year is none of these. Yet I am so proud of my fellow neighbors who have come together to strengthen their communities in this time. My fellow Minnesotans give me hope and strength to believe that there is a better future on the horizon. Until that day comes, let us continue to be excellent to one another. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tyler. Douglas.
Mayor, City Council members, I'm Douglas Bruce, I'm a resident here. I used to chair the City Council, and not the City Council, the Planning Commission, and I worked with the parks on golf courses, as well as taking part in the Placemaking Commission here, which is another excellent one. But I'm here because I have some expectations of the police in Bloomington. I expect that lawlessness in the execution and the fall in a criminal, if you're enforcing the law, you can't do it unlawfully, because if you do, that's a crime. I have high expectations of the people here in Bloomington. I have the same expectations for Hennepin County, the state, and the federal government. There are no exceptions to this rule. The law applies to all of us. We're not the law. We are subjects of the law. The law is something that people 250 years ago sat down and said, if we're going to organize this organization here, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, not a perfect one, but a more perfect one, are going to do these things so that we can be a more perfect union. Also, I believe I've heard the story that an old man in the Mideast went up on a mountaintop and brought down some tablets, and he had some rules on it. And there were no exceptions. I wasn't accepted from that. They weren't. You weren't. It applies to all of us. We do need leadership, and I'm really proud to hear the ideas that are coming forth here. We elected you to be leaders, not followers.
Thank you, Douglas. So we passed through a number of folks who were, I believe, registered to speak, but they were going to do so remotely. I'm going to ask any of our call-in speakers to press *3 if you were on our list and we've missed you here. *3. Anything, Priyanka? Yes, I can see that.
Caller number starting with 818-919, you're now unmuted.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, council members, thank you. I'm here really today because the city has a choice to make, and this isn't a political one. It's about trust. When people believe their city is connected to federal immigration enforcement, even loosely, they stop calling for help. They stop reporting crimes, they stop showing up, not because they don't care, as we've heard all night tonight, but because they're afraid. That doesn't make Bloomington safer. It makes us quieter, and quieter isn't the same as safe. ICE operates on fear, and when the city stays vague, using policy language, that fear fills the silence. The message people hear isn't complicated. It's stay invisible. I don't want to live in a city built on silence. I'm asking you to be specific, clear enough that a parent knows if it's safe to call 911, clear enough that a traffic stop doesn't feel like a threat to someone's family, clear enough that no one in the city has to guess whether they're being protected or exposed. No voluntary collaboration with ICE, no local resources used for federal enforcement, no ambiguity. You don't have to solve immigration policy tonight, but you do control how this city shows up for the people in it. Choose clarity, choose trust, choose humanity, choose community. Thank you for your time.
And thank you. And I don't think we got your name. Could you share that with us, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. Mike Garrison.
Mike, thank you much.
Yeah, thank you.
Priyanka, is there anyone else pressing pound or *3 to speak?
Mayor, we have one more. Phone number starting with 952-884. You're now unmuted.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jody Johnson. I've been a resident of Bloomington for 47 years. I'm not prepared like other people. Other people have spoken so beautifully, and I thank every one of them. I'm moved to say something very simple, which is that there is no such thing as placating a bully, whether you're talking about a schoolyard or a country. Attempting to placate a bully makes him bigger and more greedy and more perverse. The one and only thing that works in responding to a bully is to stand up fully and straight without fear and say no. We are here in this time for a reason. I believe that. We are made for these times. That is why we are here, and we can meet it. I want to encourage everybody that every single thing that you are doing matters. Every single thing that you are doing to make what is right prevail, you are making a contribution. Research shows that when an individual or a group of people attempts to impose an authoritarian type of regime on a country that had formerly been a democracy, that
We still there, Jody? We lost you, Jody. Are you there? Jody, if you're able to, please call back so we can finish up your remarks.
I am here. Can you hear me?
There you are. You're back again. Yes. Yes.
I'm so sorry. Where did I lose me?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, I just I wanted to speak to the bully behavior. There is no such thing as placating a bully. Attempting to do so feeds the bully and makes him bigger and more greedy for power and more perverse. The one and only thing that works in responding to a bully is to stand up fully and straight without fear and say no. We are here, I believe that we really are here in this time for a reason. We're not here by accident. And because of that, we are made for these times and we can meet it. So I want to encourage everybody who's doing even the smallest of things, I don't care if it's lighting a candle, every single thing you do to make right prevail in this time matters. It is crucial. They've done research, and when an individual or a group of people attempts to impose an authoritarian type of regime upon a former democracy, you have about a 1.5-year window to fight it. We're past the 1-year mark. So this may very well be the most crucial time in the history of our country for many, many decades. So I do encourage the mayor and the city council to meet this illegal activity. They're the ones that are criminals. They are violating the Constitution and the law. To meet them with the greatest amount of response that you can possibly muster. This is not a time for timidity, and this is not a time for wavering or trying to duck and cover. This is a time to stand up. And if I still have a minute or so, I would like to speak to nonviolence.
Jody?
Yep, can you hear me?
Excuse me.
Yep.
Yes, we can, but I'm afraid your time is up. I tried to give a little extra
That's
as
okay.
we were back and forth here, and we lost you for a bit there, but I'm afraid your 3 minutes are up.
That's no worry. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling in. Let me just double back on our list here and make sure that anybody that was on the list may have shown up late. Keaton Dane, Sarah Zion, Saul Mua, Paul Scott, Michael List. All right, I think that is everybody. And Danielle Isaacson, who is remote. And Danielle, if you are on the phone, if you could push *3 right now, we will we'll patch you through. And then I think the last person possibly is Chelsea Goblets. Chelsea, if you are there, if you could push *3 as well. All right, while we're waiting, folks, we are officially scheduled to go until 6:15 here. We think we probably have time for a couple more speakers. If you weren't registered and would like to speak now, you're welcome to come forward. Please come on forward.
My name is Louise Borman, and I've been a Bloomington resident for about 30 years, but I taught in Minneapolis schools for 30 years. And you do not want the fear and tension that those neighborhoods, my students, Renee Good was killed 2 blocks from one of my former students' home. You do not want the tension, which I feel all the time. And you don't want that here. And it is here already. We have to stop it. It will eat our souls. The only 2 other things is that why would somebody who can't train a dog be in charge of training ICE? My other thing is to say that I have not verified this yet. I just saw it on Facebook or something today, but The Nation magazine nominated Minneapolis and Minnesota for a Pulitzer Prize.
A Nobel Prize.
I'm so sorry. Nobel. And that would make somebody really mad.
Thank you. Probably time for one more. Any others? Please come on forward.
Hi, my name is Lucy. I just had a question. Sorry, it's really quick. I just had a question. So if you're a legal immigrant here, you have all the paperwork you have and everything, and ICE that wants to arrest you, are you allowed to call the police to get help?
The answer to that question is yes. Anytime you feel unsafe for any reason, you should dial 911 and talk to the Bloomington Police.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Melinda Morvari. I absolutely hate doing things like this. So to get me to come up here, it takes a lot. My husband and I have been residents of Bloomington for about 13 years. I was born and raised in South Minneapolis. My husband was born in Baldwin, raised Wisconsin, raised on the east side of St. Paul. We are both from immigrant families. My father's side of my family is Mexican. My stepfather was Black. My brother was biracial. They're both gone now. I grew up in a diverse community. Sorry, I don't like doing this, but I felt like since I had time, it was really important. My husband's family is Iranian. We are a rainbow coalition. My family is. What our state and the Twin Cities is going through right now is breaking my soul. I was born and raised in the area where Renee Good and Alex Preddy were killed. This has paralyzed me. I'm a small business owner, and I was so excited for this new year because I had so many things that I wanted to do, and I can barely get myself to do any of it. I don't know what to do. I feel helpless. But I'm doing everything that I possibly can because this is too important. Silence is complicity. Silence is complicity. Please don't be silent. Our neighbors are so important to us. Every single caller is important. If we all look the same, imagine how boring it would be here. Please, everyone, continue to do everything that you can. Donate, volunteer, get your neighbors to their appointments, get your kids to school. Everybody needs to do something because if we don't do anything, we're going to fall apart. We are going to fall apart. Now is the time to do something. It doesn't matter how small it is, you have to do something. Please. Thank you very much for listening to me. I don't like doing stuff like this at all. I have 14 more seconds. I just want all of my immigrant neighbors to know how much I love you and how much you belong here. This is your home. We will fight for you. Thank you.
Thank you. You did a good job, even though you don't like to do it. What I think I'd like to do just very quickly here is, as we wrap up, we're scheduled to be done here by 6:15 because we have a city council meeting now at 6:30. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. And thank you to everyone who spoke. Thanks to everybody who didn't speak. It's greatly appreciated that you speak up, you come forward tonight and always, as Melinda just said, and always. I want to thank you all for the work that you're doing in the community, to build community, to protect this community. And it's obviously not going unnoticed across the United States. And so thank you for that. I greatly appreciate it. I do want to tell you quickly some of the things that Bloomington is undertaking right now, and a couple of people mentioned it. We have signed on to Attorney General Ellison's brief. We submitted an amicus brief, friend of the court brief, and so we're part of that. We did approve last week $350,000 in rental assistance and $250,000 in food assistance that Veep is going to help us distribute. Veep does a wonderful job, and they have their finger on the pulse of so much going on in this community. Bloomington is part of a coalition of cities that it was just announced today, the work that we've been doing and will continue to do to try and figure out a path forward on all of this. As part of that, I was in Washington, D.C. last week at the U.S. Conference of Mayors meeting, and actually within about 48 hours spoke to, I think, 80% of our Minnesota congressional delegation. And the very good conversations that we had were with the offices of our Republican members of Congress, urging them to step forward and speak up. The silence is deafening from our Republican members of Congress, and we're urging them to step up and do something and to speak on our behalf. I know that Chief Hodges has been working extensively behind the scenes, which, yes, I know Chief Hodges and behind the scenes, that doesn't go together very well. I know that. Chief Hodges has been working extensively behind the scenes with the Minnesota Police Chiefs Association, been working with the Sheriff's Association, working to try, again, to find a solution, to find a way that we could not only de-escalate the work that's going on, get them to a level of professional law enforcement, and ultimately to really bring down the temperature and the amount of work going on here in the Twin Cities. And what did I miss, Council? Is there anything else that I missed? Oh, and the webpage. Thank you so very much. And we do have a webpage for with information that I think it's growing, and based on the notes that were being taken tonight, I think growing in terms of the information that we could have on that. And I want to let you know also that we're taking care of city employees also. I mean, these city employees, they're our coworkers, they're your city employees. They're affected by this also, and the work that they do. Some of them are at risk as well, and so we're working with them to keep them as protected as we possibly can. And then the final piece of the puzzle that I did want to mention, we're looking into small business assistance and trying to find ways that we can keep our small businesses afloat, much like we did through COVID. The suggestions that everybody made tonight, greatly appreciated. We'll continue to talk about those as a council to see what the appropriate path forward about additional things that we could do. It isn't a matter of the council not caring about this. It's not a matter of the council not doing anything. It's a matter of the work that the council is doing, and we just need that to line up with what we hope that people hope we will accomplish with all of this. On a personal note, ask me about my ICE interaction, and I'll describe to you how growing up as a construction worker, I can swear with the best of them. And it was an interesting interaction that ultimately led to an ICE agent knocking on my door that evening. So it's interesting and troubling times for everyone. It really is. And the community coming together like this and talking like this, I think, is an important step forward. Having your voices be heard, not only by the city council, but by the rest of this community, that people in this community do care. So thank you. Thank you for this. As I said, we're going to continue to talk about this as a council. If by some terrible instance, this is still going on and continues to go on, we will likely do additional listening sessions to be able to continue this conversation with the residents and to be able to listen to you a bit more. But again, thank you. With that, council, I look for a motion to adjourn. Got a motion and a second to adjourn our listening session. All in favor? We are adjourned. We will reconvene at 6:30 for our city council meeting.